5:07. And the first thing we have is the Pledge of Allegiance. So everybody, I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United
United
States
States
of
of
America and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for
which
which
stands
stands
one
one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
with
and
liberty and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Thank you. So the first thing we have on the agenda is the old business of the open space and recreation plan. So I think that would be Bill to tell us what was going on. So did you get all our changes and everything?
Yep, everything, I went and retrieved everything off of the Google Doc, and it was put together, and it was probably sent around to you guys. I hope you like it. The only thing that we have left to do, actually, is get letters of approval from the Planning Board and the Board of Selectmen, and then Appendix D. We still need some work on the land inventory. We don't quite have all of it yet. I looked at the files that I sent, and there was some of the stuff missing. But the open space plan is more than adequate because the planning section of the document is done to send to the state for a conditional certification, which would make you eligible for all state grant programs for the next 7 years. And it's also in good shape to send to DHCD and Sean Cronin to make you eligible for the next round of Community Compact.
Great.
Nice.
That's excellent.
Hey, Alan, did you read the message in the chat box before we started?
No, I didn't see it. I didn't see the chat box actually, to be honest. Oh, there it is. I had it my screen too low. What does it say?
It says we're supposed to let somebody know that we're starting the meeting.
Oh, that would be Andrew from Dayton TV. Oh, we're all set. Okay, sorry,
Okay.
Andrew.
So on,
yeah.
on that end of it, we have completed the plan, and I can go back and work with, I'm going to see if Lisa Caldonia, who's done this before, and she's your conservation agent, maybe we can polish up Appendix D, and that will be it. I know Brett had me send the plan to him in a reduced PDF format so he could get it to both the selectmen and the planning board and get it on their agendas for review, and that's it. I mean, congratulations, you guys stuck with it. A couple of you guys stuck with it for a long time and through many iterations of the committee and partial committees and everything else that we, all the road bumps that we hit, but you did a great job, and I really appreciate the comments that everybody made. Kevin, you did a great job at the end, boy, for the new guy coming on. You had some great comments, and I really appreciate all the work you put in, especially getting me into the Google Doc at the end. Kevin and I went
That was tricky.
yeah, Kevin and I went through quite an exchange on Saturdays and Sundays there, or at the end. Oh, yeah, getting in. Yeah, we're putting in some overtime, but it worked out really well. And the new plan, Sarah Brown from my office formatted it. It looks fabulous. Everybody who's seen it really looks fabulous. I sent it around internally to be reviewed too. In fact, Sarah read the whole thing. So, great job, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work. You did a lot of work on it for us. We really are grateful.
Yeah. So Bill, what do we have to do for the land? Do we have to do anything or?
No. It's mostly going through the assessor's inventory and making sure that we have all of the chapter lands up to date. And the state likes to see open space parcels, probably 10 acres or greater in there just to see what their potential might be in case you have them. But otherwise, we got all the town-owned lands down and a couple of the land trust state and county properties. So I'm just going to go back in and make sure because it looked like the chapter properties were could have been a little out of date. They didn't have the new APRs in there. So I'm going to go back through. And like I said, I can get a hold of Lisa and see if she can go through that with me. Or if not, someone from my shop might be able to help me out too with that. And that would be it. Or I can ask, I know Brett helped me the first time. He may be able to provide some more technical assistance with this too. And, I have to give a shout out to him too. He came on the committee to provide us some technical assistance and some guidance and help us, set up the Zoom meetings. And he really did some yeoman work there. And I was going back and forth with the reviews. He did a great job, and he was a great help.
Yep.
He sure was.
So we're done. Done.
Yeah.
Done. We're done. Let's go. The end.
Actually, you know what you should do now? You put in all that hard work. One of the recommendations I always make is to keep a standing open space and recreation plan committee, even to meet maybe either twice a year or annually, to make sure that things in the plan aren't getting dropped and the plan itself isn't getting dropped, that people keep making progress, on addressing these things. I mean, you worked so hard to put it out there. You don't want it to just fall apart and have people forget about it, because there's some really good things in there. You have some young active committees like the Trails Committee, and I know Kevin brought in a lot with the ADA. I mean, these are things that you should really start addressing and make sure that they're addressed, because you guys worked hard.
Yeah, I think if we just if we didn't keep meeting, it would just fall apart. There's no one to pursue stuff.
Absolutely. Making sure that everything gets done.
Yep. And like I said, that's not. Oh, no, go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
I said realistically, like the quote unquote heavy lifting is done, and you absolutely, it's like Bill was saying, you don't want to do all this work and then be like, okay, we're all set. You definitely got to stay on top of these groups, otherwise, they won't follow through. It's just like anything else. You got to kind of push them over the finish line.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, and you got some great prescriptive planning in there too. Like you had your ADA 504 transition plan done for your conservation and park facilities, and they all came with price tags too for fixes. So you can start tackling those things, even if it's one or two at a time. The smaller items, start getting them out of the way. Go after grants. There's grant money out there, and I'd be more than willing. I don't go away either. I'm going to stick with you guys, and if you need technical assistance for stuff like that, I'm there, and we can get some of this stuff addressed. Like I said, some of the trail stuff, Conservation Commission is doing a great job acquiring lands and, working in partnership with people like the Wildlands Trust. None of that goes away, so you can make sure that the plan is advanced, and it doesn't have to be painful. It can be really a partnership type of plan, cooperative ventures, and like I said, a couple of times a year just to meet to see how you're doing, making progress. That always really helps.
But I also think that, even meeting once a month to look at grants or things that we can do to further the plan is not a bad idea.
That's true. Yep. Up to you guys. Whatever you want for a schedule.
Pick up part of the plan and see where it's gone and see what we need to do to further it.
Yeah, we don't have long, drawn out, extensive meetings. So yeah, it's completely reasonable to just continue doing once a month and keeping up to date. And
all right.
maybe we can even kind of chart our progress and come up with a checklist. Like, all right, this and this are done. We want to tackle this next.
I agree. So Bill, when do you think the plan would be approved?
Well, right now, Melissa's working remotely. Melissa Cryan, who approves the plans.
Yep.
What I can do is I can submit it to her for conditional approval, and she's kind of backlogged because she hasn't been able to get into the office. So what she likes to do is I will send her a paper copy of the plan with a clip. She doesn't even like it bound, so that she can really go through it. And then she'll send us back a letter, and you'll get a letter of conditional approval. Could be within a couple of months. And then she'll tell us what she would like us to work on a little further to maybe polish the plan to her standards. But again, that's usually not a heavy lift. A couple of things here and there. But the most important thing is once she reviews it and gives it her stamp, you will be conditionally approved, which means you'll be able to participate in any of the grants programs. And once we address any of her concerns, then you'll get final approval, which you would need for reimbursement on the grants. But up until then, and we can do that, like the minute she gets back with the letter, we'll tackle any any issues that she has and send it right back in for final approval. But in the meantime, once you get conditional approval, you're in there. You'll have a 7-year window to go after things.
And we have to wait for the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board to approve it?
Well, what they have to do is review it and just send letters of their approval. Like for the plan, even now, they could write their letters based on the plan because the basic planning document is done. right through the action plan with your maps, everything that's required is done. So they can give us letters of approval, and then you need a letter of approval from the RPA, us, the Regional Planning Agency. And I won't do it because I was active in the plan, but I would probably ask my colleagues who reviewed it, maybe Sarah, if she would write a letter, and that way we'll get that done also. And that's it. Those, at minimum, those are the 3 letters that you need.
So should we follow through with the planning board? Is that what we should do? Like reach out?
I think Brett was going to, because I think what he had me do when I sent, you can ask him, check with him, but he had me send a reduced size PDF so that Karen could distribute it to the boards.
Okay.
So he may already have sent it to the planning board. I don't know, but I remember that was his request, because when it came through the first time, he said it was so large that he couldn't pass it on. So I said, okay, I'll send you a reduced PDF. And I did, and I believe he sent it to Karen.
Beautiful.
Okay, great. That's good.
Yeah, life is good, huh?
How long, Ellen? How long has this been?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, I know, starts and stops, and how many times have you had members? And yeah, it's been unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been a long road.
So what else is on our agenda, Ellen?
Yeah, so I had a couple of things that I sent the original email around. We got contacted. It was kind of a general email to people from the state. They were sent. There were a couple of things on there that were of interest. They were looking for proposals from people. It's small proposals. It says neighborhood outreach project request for proposals. So they're looking for people like ourselves, like open space committees and stuff to, here, I guess I'll just read it. The ideal proposal will verify a critical neighborhood in Massachusetts and reach the landowners within it through a combination of neighborhood scale outreach activities that lead to landowners taking a specific action to plan the future of their land. These desirable outcomes include seeking the advice of professional people such as attorneys, CPA, land protection specialists, developing an estate plan tool for their land or trust, joining a current use program, pursuing a conservation restriction, or working together to develop a landscape scale conservation project. So I was hoping you guys would look it over and we could decide if we wanted to apply for it. It sounds like it's they want all activities completed by the middle of May, on May 15th. So the time frame is pretty short. They're only looking for proposals from $500 to $3,000. Anyways, so the proposal requirements would have a description or map of the neighborhood and its ecological value, description of proposed outreach activities, description of desired outcomes, timeline of activities, and a basic budget. Anyway, I didn't know if we were interested in doing that kind of grant, if that was really.
So you would look for a neighborhood maybe that wanted to better their conservation land, or like?
Yeah, so I guess you would target some outreach for people to conserve their land in some way, like maybe help them with estate planning or planning for the protection of the property, that kind of thing. So I don't know if a neighborhood would include the whole town, because our town's awful small. Like it's not, but yeah, I didn't know if we had, anyway, I didn't know if we wanted to take any action on it or not.
I guess
this is like setting up a land. Is this just so I understand? Is this like asking someone to set up a land trust so that like the land couldn't get? I know like Dartmouth is known for this. So they'll take a piece of farmland and it becomes undevelopable. And what happens is like you'll own it until you're deceased or whatever the conditions may be, and then it gets turned over as a protected piece of land by the state.
Yeah, I believe that's the kind of thing they're talking about, like helping large landowners to preserve their land in some way. It could be through estate planning or that kind of thing. Bill, did you know anything more about this?
Yeah, it's kind of like what you were just saying, Ellen. Actually, we did a workshop like this with a couple of organizations. Maybe going on 2 years ago this winter, and it was had to do with farmland. So it might be good for something if you wanted to. You might want to run this by the Conservation Commission and the Agricultural Commission to see if they would like to go in partners with the Open Space Committee and get some folks to come in. I know we had Scott McFadden come in, and we had someone from the state come in, and they did a really nice workshop on land conservation options for folks. And they went through the whole litany, conservation restrictions, gifts, the whole bit.
It seems like it's not so much for neighborhoods as much as large landowners, right? Once neighborhoods develop, I mean, there's not a lot of land to save anyway.
Well, you got a quote unquote large landowners, like look at what Sweets Knoll, maybe 15 acres or something like that. I mean, to a lot of people, they're like, oh my God, it's massive. Like they probably think that's 100 acres, but it's not. But I mean, any parcel that size that you can save, I mean, I think it's absolutely worth going after it and proposing to somebody that, to keep it as open use land.
Yeah, and that's why you might want to actually talk to the Conservation Commission too. Maybe talk to Bill Furnett and those guys and Lisa, because a lot of the stuff that they've done, where you've had development, they've managed to get conservation easements and restrictions on the remainder of land once the developable footprint was, agreed upon. So they've had some experience there too. And like I said, Scott's worked with the town before on a couple of things. So yeah, it might be kind of cool to kick the idea around and see if people want to pursue it.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Reach out to, you suggested conservation, and what was the other group?
Agricultural Commission. Yep.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. And we also had a comment that, a property bordering some conservation land already would also be a benefit, right? Like if you had somebody bordering Sweets Knoll that was a landowner, had several acres.
Oh yeah.
It would be a benefit too. So,
yeah, and that'd be a great thing to look at, because now that you've got all your maps too from the open space, you've got your green infrastructure map in there, which you guys are going to be the first ones in the state to have a green infrastructure map in your open space plan. You can actually look and see where you benefit by preserving land that would keep habitat unfragmented. And especially the land that provides, really important natural services to you, like, for water quality, air quality, habitat and passage, the whole bit. So, it'd be kind of cool. Kind of use some of the new tools and do it as a joint venture. Like I said, the Open Space Committee, the AgCom, and the Conservation Commission. And if you're up for it, I'm sure, we could put something together. If not, we can wait and see what we can do independently.
yeah, I think it would be worth pursuing. It certainly, I can think of I think it would be worthwhile to do. I don't know about you guys.
I just think if we could find some targeted spots too, where we could reach out to those and really be laser focused on the spots rather than just a general, I don't know.
Does it have to be privately owned land, or can it be land that the town currently owns that we, go this route to completely lock it up?
Right.
Yeah, and that's a great question, Kevin. Some of it might be land that isn't in the Conservation Commission's control or in the Park and Rec's control, so that's not protected under Article 97, state's constitution. So if the town owns it, but you look at your maps and you say, hey, it's right next to a big piece of protected green infrastructure land, or a big piece of critical habitat, we may want to consider turning this land over from town ownership to conservation ownership, so that it's protected in perpetuity. So that, these are the kind of things you can dig in and look at and see what you have. It's a great way to look at the assets that you have and how you might want to combine them. to become more efficient as far as your conservation, open space resilience, community resilience. You have your MVP plan now too. So, there's a lot of things. In fact, the MVP core committee might be a good group to talk to too.
So we would really need to look at the pieces of land. We would have to look at that map again and
Right.
see if there were spots that we could like contact the different parties and say, this is what we want to do.
Mhm.
Like, do we know of any specific spots that at this point?
I guess I was thinking the area around Somerset's, like the Council Oak and stuff like that. There's already a good deal of conserved land there. We've also got the ag school, I believe, abuts some of that property and that kind of thing. You already got like a good, and you have a, I don't know the gentleman who bought that farm there, but that's an area where you could build something off of, maybe. I don't know. I think it would be important to talk to conservation and these other folks. They might have, like the Ag Commission, they probably already have a good understanding of who the farmers are and where they're at,
Yep.
about what they're spending on their property. So I think we really can't, I don't think we know enough to actually focus on what we want.
Well, that too, and we probably need to look at going back to the map too, like certain areas, like say down in like the marsh area where there is town-owned land. If we know it's wetlands and it's not buildable anyway, then you don't really need to concentrate your effort on securing that piece of land because it's essentially non-developable. So we'll have a little bit of homework to pick and choose, like, all right, well, this is a spot that could end up getting sold off and become, buildable. And, we'll have to kind of decipher through and maybe make a list of what land is, pretty secure and being conserved and what's
Yeah.
So,
I think we can.
I know.
Oh, sorry, Bill.
No, I was going to say, and I know in your MVP plan, municipal vulnerability preparedness, they did cite some areas that they would like to look at for, acquisition or to secure for water supply protection, flood storage, stormwater abatement. So they've got some ideas too how they'd like to connect the pieces, of real estate as far as making Titan more conservation ready and probably more resilient. So that's another good group. And I know the stormwater committee was working really hard with the core team there too, the MVP core team. That would be Nancy Goulart and her group, which is, again, a multidisciplinary committee of conservation, board of health, highway. They're all on there. So you get a really good cross section of the people who know the town really well. They have first responders on there too, which again is really important. A lot of times they know the town better than anybody.
Right. I think that's a good idea, though, that getting some of that town-owned land and putting it into conservation with these grants, or you know what I mean? Because so often town land is sold off and we don't even know that it was sold. Right,
Yep.
Ellen?
Yeah, it gets sold off a lot.
No, and that is that's a great idea, Jess. It really is. You're taking the right approach there. Look at what you have, where you have it, and how you can enhance it. That's a great way, and see who controls what, so that it doesn't get sold off as surplus, and you regret it later. So yeah, it's a great idea.
Okay, so I think what we should do, maybe this is a job for me to reach out to some of these folks and see if they're also interested in putting the grant together, because we'll need their help, like the Ag Commission and stuff, to determine who to reach out to and that kind of thing. Although I think we can probably put together a proposal without necessarily identifying everybody we're going to invite, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
You know what you might do, Ellen, just to gauge interest, is that notice that you have right there. Send it out. Just circulate it to the AgCom, Board of Selectmen, because they're going to control the town-owned land, and Conservation Commission, and say, here's a grant proposal. We'd like to know if you're willing, if you'd like to speak to us about going in as joint committees
Mhm.
to see what we can do. That way, you just circulate the proposal, and if they, you get a response, then bang, you're all set.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm wondering like so if we put together a proposal, what are we going to propose? Are we going to propose just a series of like Zoom meetings, or are we going to propose people meeting individually with planners, or what are we thinking? What
So
would-
Ellen, I guess my question is, like, the grants are only up to $3,000? Is
Yeah,
that per person or per parcel or?
proposal, I think.
So I guess if we did this, we would do like some sort of Zoom meeting where we could get people in to let us know the importance maybe of transferring some of this over. I don't know, you know what I mean? It's not a lot of money.
No, it's not. I was wondering like maybe what we do is you do a series, maybe one or two Zoom meetings talking about the different things, and then hiring somebody like allowing, say, we have X amount of money to spend for a lawyer to help somebody set up their estate, or maybe that would be too much money, but you know what I'm saying? Like use that money to hire somebody to help them, an
Yep.
interested party. I don't know.
The trouble is that a lot of these people that own this farmland don't understand how to even get on a Zoom meeting. Do you know what I mean? So it's,
Yes, it's true. Some of them might be older or whatever.
yeah,
Maybe,
so we,
maybe it's also going to involve a mailing, like,
right,
and providing contact information for people.
correct.
Yeah, put together a survey that you could either have online, like we do the open space survey, that you could either have online or mailed out that they could send back to you. And that way it will also gauge interest, and you could get them all, maybe you could do one meeting that's socially distanced in a large hall, like maybe the old town hall meeting room, and then you could do a Zoom meeting and just give the general, prospectus, like here's landowner conservation options. And you get someone, say like a Scott McFadden, to come in with, with maybe another couple of people to run a workshop, the same workshop, it's socially distanced and on Zoom. And then you figure out from there, who would like to follow up, and you work with them.
Mhm.
And there's other grants that would enable you to work with them too. You could follow up, with more money after that. Go after, chase another grant.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
as it gets nicer, we could absolutely get the Lions Pavilion and have a social distance workshop there, because that's where we hold a lot of our meetings in the summer anyway, socially distancing. So that could be an option. Like, are we going to target certain people? That's, I guess, my next question is that,
Mhm.
are we going to get a list of like farm owners or people that own more than a certain acreage?
Yeah, we could get we could target, for example, people who already have chapter land, right? Because they would
Yep.
that would mean that they have significant ag, forestry, or conservation land already set aside in
Yep.
some way, right? So targeting people with chapter land would probably be a start. I don't know, Bill, do you have other ideas?
A lot of times you get off of the landowner's list. But when you go through the assessor's office, you can see who large landowners are. But you can also, again, look at the town assets and go after agricultural. And, a lot of times these commissions, too, the Conservation Commission might have areas that they have been looking at to acquire for years. And a lot of times they may have been in negotiations with landowners. Same thing with the Ag Commission. They may know people who want to retire their farms or their businesses. That's why it's important up front. And again, like people like the Stormwater Committee have been looking at land all over the town,
Mhm.
for various things. That way you meet with them, you have a general meeting and say, okay, if you're interested, here's what we've got. Here's what we'd like to do. Does anybody have any ideas? List people that we might be able to solicit. Then you put your surveys together and, you send it the other way. We were wondering if you would be interested in participating in a meeting to discuss, land conservation options, and,
Mhm.
free of charge. We're going to put this on, and here's what we're going to do. And then you'd figure out who really was interested, because you don't have to go out and get them all at once with this. But if you get a couple of people who are interested and they have a good experience and you can help them through it and help them understand it, that opens the door for other people to participate too.
Mhm. Yeah.
That usually works out pretty well.
Okay.
So could we invite the Agricultural Commission to our next meeting and maybe say this, can you give us 10 minutes of your time and explain to them what we're doing? Like forward that email first and then follow up with an invitation to our next open space meeting? And see if anybody.
That might be a great idea. Actually, see if you get the chair of the Conservation Commission, the chair of the Board of Selectmen, and the chair of the Ag Commission, and the chair of the Stormwater Commission to just come. That way you get 4 people and say, here's what we're thinking of doing. In the meantime, forward them all, the grant notice.
Yep.
And say, let's get together and have a brainstorming session. It'll be quick. Say, here we go, 45 minutes or so, let's just get together and see what we think. And that way you'll be able to gauge their interest too. They'll have time to read the grant before the next meeting, and they'll come to the meeting, they'll give you their ideas, which is what you're really looking for.
Mhm. Right.
I mean,
Okay.
that could target our next meeting as well, what we're gonna do.
Mhm.
Yep.
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 Yeah, I think that sounds like a good plan. So yeah, I'll see about figure out how to send that around to everybody, the grant proposal.
Ellen,
And-
have you been taking notes? Because I didn't take notes.
Yeah, I did write down a few things.
All right.
Hey guys,
I would do the agenda, but I forgot that no one was here to write the minutes.
I have been writing some notes about what I'm supposed to be doing, what I'm
All right,
volunteering myself
so
to do.
so we are all set on the open space plan, right?
Mhm.
I totally was on that open space
Yeah,
plan.
so there's some
then-
letters of approval we're gonna be waiting on.
So we're waiting,
All
I'm
right.
sorry, waiting on approval. On what kind of approval? It's a,
They're
we're
supposed to-
going to do conditional approval from the state, from the Division of Conservation Services,
okay,
and we have to get letters of approval from the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board.
okay,
And
So
I feel like
that
I think Brett already sent those around, the plans for them to be reviewed.
okay,
And
so that's,
I'm going to have to hop off because my phone is just about to die.
all right, Bill, take care.
Thank you, Bill.
Have
All
a good,
right, thank you, Bill.
bye, Bill, see you
All
soon.
right, guys.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for all your hard work. I'll
right.
see you.
All right, and then Ellen's gonna contact the Ag Commission.
Yeah, and I also have a suggestion for the Historical Commission.
Historical Commission, who else are you
Or,
contacting?
he suggested conservation, agriculture, the stormwater, the select board, and we could also do the historic commission.
So Ag Commission, Historical Commission, Stormwater Commission, and Selectmen
And conservation.
and Conservation.
Mhm.
Okay. So you're gonna send them the flyer,
Uh-huh,
and
yeah,
then we're gonna invite them to our next,
invite them, yeah, we can invite them all, to
invite
the
them
next
to the
meeting.
next meeting.
To,
Okay.
yeah, see who's interested.
I just realized no one's taking minutes, so I'll put this together. I'm like sitting here having a cup of coffee. All right, so
Okay.
that was everything for the minutes, right, so far?
Yeah, yep.
Okay,
And then the next thing I had, it was from the same flyer I got. It was there's an open space conference every Thursday this March. And it's free, so we could all sign up. Each week there's a different theme. So the first week, March 4th, is which sounds like something we should do, is called Open Space for Open Space from Planning to Implementation. The next week is Protecting and Building Resilience in Local Green Spaces. Then how to build and maintain trails and increase recreation. And then how to conduct outreach, network, and maintain relationships. So this is every Thursday this month. And then there's also some networking events as well. So the workshops themselves are 2 to 3. And then the networking stuff is 7 to 8. So it's all Zoom, and it's all
In the
$3.
afternoon till 3 and 2 to 3?
Yeah, so it's the workshop itself is 2 to 3:30. I sent you guys the link.
Okay, good. I'll look it up.
And then and
I'm
then
gonna be teaching, Ellen. I can't go.
I figured there would be likely some conflicts. I know I'll have to leave work early if I'm going to do that. And then there's also the networking, which happens later in the evening at 7 to 8. So I would encourage everybody, to sign up for that, whichever ones they're interested in. Certainly the first one about implementing open space, I think that's right about where we are.
Yeah.
So,
All right,
yeah.
I'll put that in the minutes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure you guys all knew about that and encourage everybody to attend whatever they can. So I think that was it. We have, did anybody have any other correspondence or anything to talk about? Okay.
You know what? I don't know why this is just popped in my head. Didn't we have to do something about writing sentences for something? Whatever happened to that? We were supposed to write sentences for part
Oh,
of
no, a
something.
paragraph to present to the board, but Brett said we didn't have to do that.
Oh, he excused us from that?
Yeah, because
duty?
remember I said, do we have to write that paragraph? Because I don't even know what I'm writing. He said, we don't worry about that. So I said, we're good. We'll
and I
bring
think-
that up again.
Pretend I never said it. I think the only other, I guess, quote unquote correspondence we have is, I know I had spoke to Ellen through email about the task force for the parks. That became this total cluster of trying to get a meeting out. So we met very briefly.
It was on last Thursday, right?
Last
I missed it.
Thursday.
I had it in my calendar for the Friday. And then I'm
Yeah,
like,
so-
oh, I missed it.
Don't worry about it, because it was just kind of hi, I'm this guy, hi, I'm this girl, and so on and so forth. And it was kind of, it wasn't very intense, but we're going to try to better organize our next meeting and give a little more notice so people can hop on.
So can you explain a little bit to Jessica what your meeting was about?
So we started a joint task force. It's the commissioner, myself and Jonathan, the ADA coordinator from the Commission on Disability. We invited we invited everyone from Parks and Recs. Mr. Rhines was the only one who attended. But I reached out to Suzanne Cody, and she's going to start kind of hopping on board, which is good. And all we're trying to do is trying to plan and make sure that we're using particular designated playground areas for the right, equipment. Because what kind of was discussed in that meeting was the big push has been for the North Dayton playground, rebuilding that because it's been gone for so long. And I voiced this opinion in the meeting that I don't think the town should be on the hook for $300,000 for a playground that's tucked in the woods that's going to get, destroyed, more or less from that. I think that's kind of the general feeling of the public and people that live in that neighborhood, is that area has always been subject to vandalism. So it's it's a ton of money to spend. I don't think that that's a reason to do nothing at all, but and so we kind of talked on that a little bit, and then we're concentrating on that little portion of it, and then my whole thing through any involvement or any interest in Parks and Rec has been building an inclusive playground, and that's really the reason we started that task force. But I feel that's such a large project, and where to do it is kind of up in the air, that we're going to talk about it and plan for it, but that's going to get slid to a later date.
So
That way
what
we're not.
playground are you redoing or talking about redoing?
So the North Dayton playground is non-existent. There's just the basketball court and the ball field over near the fire station. I think it's Fire Station 2. On Summer Street.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
I know exactly
So
where it is.
that's at the special town meeting in November. The Parks Department had proposed this plan to purchase equipment for that park to the tune of some $92,000, but it was the total that they had come up with so far for that area was 225,000, but that wasn't including lighting, pavement to get back there, additional excavation, engineering, etc. So like it's going to be probably north of a $300,000 project for a park that's tucked in the woods. That's not really readily accessible. So we wanted to kind of take that plan and scale it back, do something that's less expensive and a little bit more feasible for the town, and then maybe explore revamping the town hall playground into a more inclusive playground. You know, if the space, you know, after we'll do a study and see if the space allows for it.
Do they have a playground at the elementary school?
You know what? I don't know. I have two kids in the elementary school. I don't know if there's a playground at the elementary school.
I'm just asking because, I mean, part of, you know, going to school is being able to access playground equipment that you can actually use. So, I mean, going backwards into that, do you know what I mean? Like having a swing that is a wheelchair swing should be at an elementary school, or having.
Hold on, I'm gonna ask Parker. Is there a playground at your school?
Yes.
There is at school.
Yes.
Okay. My little
So
one
it'd be
just ran
interesting
downstairs.
to really look at the school playground as well. Do you know what I mean? And
Well, that's like a whole nother animal though. And this is what
yeah, I know.
kind of caught a snag too, even with the Commission on Disability, is there's so much to address like in the town, and then the school district is like its whole other entity. So it's like, as someone from Parks and Rec really can't touch the school. Like that would have to be an ask of the school. And I don't think that's anything that they would even entertain at this point, because, you know, budgeting has been such a problem. We can't even fit all the kids in the school, never mind revamping a
Yeah, I
playground.
hear you.
You know, so I think that's opening up such a huge can of worms that I don't know that anybody really wants to get into it. I mean, I'm sure it needs to be addressed at some point. But like,
Yeah.
even for me, and you know, everything is playgrounds with me. That would be like the least of my concerns. One of the biggest concerns like I have with the school is we're reading that the KMA report, which actually we have in our open space plan. There's not a handicap accessible fire route in the elementary school. Like, that's insane to me. So it's like that wouldn't even be on like my top 5 things to do for the school anyway, just to be honest.
Crazy. That's
You
really
know?
crazy. You got a battle ahead of you, my friend.
Now,
Yeah.
smooth sailing, just a little bit of work. That's all.
But yeah, like I would love to see more accessible playground equipment, even behind town hall would be great. I think
Yeah.
it's really important that all children be able to access a playground.
And I think like that always for me has been like my spot that I'm drawn to, because I feel like that's like the epicenter of town. Like that's where everything happens. We have the tree lighting, we have, you know, stuff like cow chip, all these things. And like, I don't know 100% that like there's the space to really do it. And I kind of, to a fault, I keep pointing to Noah's playground in New Bedford, which is like this big, beautiful. And I think everybody thinks like it doesn't need to be that big. It just needs to have all the right equipment. So I think everybody kind of like says, whoa.
Yep.
You know?
They have one in Warwick as well, but I think there are grants out there too that, you know, might help with something. Yeah.
Tons. And that's the thing is, there hasn't been a lot of grant research done or efforts to get grants for that type of playground. I know the current Parks and Rec department like kept toting that, well, if we buy the equipment now, there's a grant for $25,000. It's not a grant if you didn't apply for it. If they're giving it to you, it's a discount for purchasing it.
Correct.
So like, I kind of think that language, they use that language inappropriately in that proposal.
Yeah, I just think that it's wrong that we don't have playground equipment that all kids can play on.
Yeah, and that too, it's like what they proposed was ADA compliant, which is like, you know, all right, we have a wheelchair swing, we have a 0G swing, but it's like, to me, I want it, like inclusive means, you know, typical kids can play with special needs kids. I don't want, like, even now, if you go down to town hall, the wheelchair swing is fenced in. It's like, here, go to your own little area.
And that's
you
crazy.
know,
That's
yeah,
so.
like that is, and they're like, oh, well, we had to do that to protect it from damage. but you've literally segregated the wheelchair swing, which is like, socially is probably the worst thing you could have done to it.
Correct. Yep.
And
Well,
that's my rant
I
for the
am
night,
very
'cause I could talk
interested.
for like
Yeah, I
hours.
know. And I am very interested in helping you with whatever you need for that, because that is a passion of mine as well. And I really think that all children should, all children in this town should be able to, and Jonathan, I mean,
Yeah.
look at Jonathan and all he does.
Mhm.
And we should all be able to go to a playground where all kids can play. So anyway.
I'll make sure that too, when we send out that meeting notice, because we left time for public input and stuff, that make sure that you get the invitation
Thank
of the
you.
link for
Yep.
the Zoom too, so you can join it. Because like we had a Woody the barber joined in because he's in the North Dayton neighborhood and he always
Yep.
likes to give his input. And then we had another woman who her granddaughter actually does cheerleading with my daughter Layla over at the DR Pop Warner Fields, because they have like an inclusive cheerleading and football squad that so we know them. So yeah, it's always good, and public input is everything. I mean, you can't build a playground and not take input from the people that are going to use it, or concerned citizens.
Yep.
Mhm.
I think it's really important. I think it's really, really important as this town continues to grow.
Mhm.
There needs to be a place for kids to go and play.
Well, if
Great.
you're a voting citizen in this town, I might know a candidate.
I already sent you a message about that. Did you get
Did
my
you?
message? Yeah.
I don't think I did. I'll have to check.
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
All right,
Wait,
So
are you saying you're running?
I am. I submitted my papers today.
Oh, cool.
oh,
Congratulations.
you got all your
Thank you.
signatures that you needed?
Yeah, the lady was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe how many signatures." She's like, "You
Right.
got carried away." I had this stigma that like, if somebody reached out and said, "Oh, I want to sign for you," like I felt, and I didn't get to everybody, but I felt obligated that like I had to go see you, and I tried my best to get everybody. So I went a little. I only needed 33. I have a lot more than that.
Oh, all right, because I sent you a message that I would sign for you if you
Oh,
need.
thank you.
So that was the message. All right. Oh, there goes my dogs. Hold on a second.
Do we have minutes? Don't recall getting minutes. Do we have minutes to approve from the last?
I don't recall seeing any minutes come
Yeah,
through,
no.
but maybe Jess.
Yeah, I think
Just
I
in a
think
second.
that's 'cause behind. I think we're
She's
behind.
taking the walk of shame.
Trying to hide the time.
I'm sorry, it's chaos in my house right now. The dogs are going crazy. We did not get any minutes, Ellen, so we'll need to approve the minutes from last time. I'll add that and this time.
Okay.
So I'll send the minutes out.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I think we're ready. Do we have any public input, Jen? Or
I'll just say thank you for all of your hard work. It was lovely to join you tonight and listen.
yeah, it was the first time I've seen you or met you. Yeah. It's nice to see you, meet you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm
Right.
trying to make my way to as many committee and commission meetings as possible and hear what everybody's up to. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this completed plan.
Mhm.
Oh, great.
Mhm.
It took a while. All right. Well,
right.
are we good, Ellen?
Yeah. So I guess we need a vote.
I'll make an emotion that we are done with our meeting.
Kevin,
Kevin.
you said
Kevin.
second it?
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, we need to know when our next meeting is,
Oh
Ellen.
yeah, we got. Whoops.